Good evening, and thank you for joining us for tonight's hybrid meeting and presentation with the Los Alamos Mountaineers. Before we get started, I want to make sure everyone is aware that this presentation is being recorded. Okay, my name is Kristen O'Hara. I'm Director of Interpretation at Pajarito Environmental Education Center, or PEAK, in Los Alamos, New Mexico. I will be the moderator for tonight's talk. Really quickly, I just want to give an acknowledgement and a shout out to our wonderful members and donors for your generous support. For details about other PEAK programs and to become a member and donor, please visit peecnature.org, peaknature.org. I will now pass the mic over to Clarissa, who will start the Mountaineers meeting. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Kristen. I hope everybody can hear me. I really do. Okay. Oh, I clipped it. Really? Okay. I really have to put it to my mouth. All right. All right. Now everybody can hear me, hopefully. All right. So welcome to our July program. As usual, I have a couple announcements. Then we have a trip report and our list of new trips, and then a presentation. So we would like to note that there is a memorial service for Jan Studebaker and a celebration of life at 2 p.m. on August 8th at the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. We hope to see you there. Jan was a very avid member of the Mountaineers, and it is a very sad loss for us. And then maybe on a hopefully happier note, we do have the Los Alamos Mountaineer 70th anniversary celebration coming up. And that will be Saturday, September 17th. And it will be a potluck at Urban Park from 5 to 8 p.m. The main dish will be provided by the club. We do have upcoming announcements associated with this, with some trips and activities for that weekend, again, September 17th. All right, so then trip reports and new trips. So here we have a picture from Chris Swanson on the Via Grande Trail on July 9th. Very nice, looks a little cloudy in the distance. Beautiful pictures, thank you. The rubber ducky float went off, I think, without anybody getting lost this year. Thank you, Zach. That happened on July 2nd. I don't think we've lost anybody in a couple years, to be fair. So ask Zach for stories later. So thank you everybody for participating in that. Looks really fun. Saw the rattlesnake, who I think lives by the hot spring down in the, in the valley. We saw rattlesnake last year too. And last, paddleboarding. Olivia Lee was on the Continental Divide Trail near Wolf Creek Pass, July 9th and 10th. More beautiful, beautiful pictures. Thank you, Olivia. Then this was a Mountaineers trip to Uncle Bud's hut above Leadville, July 17th through 21st, with Kathleen, Susan, Patty, Evan, Charles, Lynn, Mary, and Bill. We have a couple pictures from that. Lots of very good hiking, it looks like. And that looks like some very, very cold snow water. Chris and his brother Stan went to Lizard Head Massif in Colorado. These pictures also gorgeous. Thank you, Chris. Chris also hiked near the Wetterhorn. Jean, Dawn, Lucy, the dog, and Altana on Nails Trail in the Jemez, July 20th. Photo by France. Evan Rose did some soloing, quadruple 14er, July 22nd. You know, maybe we might get to hear about this soon. Hint, hint, Rod. Yeah, he did Lincoln, Ross, Cameron, and Democrat. And this is looking down at Kite Lake Trailhead. Nice view to Mount Lincoln Summit. Lake Pete and Penitente. I butcher names. I apologize if I pronounce that wrong. So this was also a Los Alamos Mountaineer outing, July 24th, with Zach, France, Brad, Joe, Mike, and Andy. Very nice pictures. And Yep, lunch spot looking towards Baldy. Looks like a very nice trip. And then last, our upcoming trips. We have Upper Quinejos Valley, August 10th through 14th. Contact Bill Podorski. Also note all the trips are listed on our website, lamountaineers.org, if you would like more information and are not on our mailing list. Then we have a bluff hiking weekend, November 3rd through 4th. Again, contact Bill Podorski. There is a beginner backpack coming up in August, the 20th and 21st. Contact Jean. And that looks like it is in coordination with Peak. And so you can also find that one on the Peak website. Also, I think we need some replies here. If anyone would like to do the Middle Fork of the Salmon, this is 5 nights departing the 2nd of September, 2023 next year. The expedition place that we use says 2023 is essentially full, rather full. So we actually do need to confirm participation or cancel. So please contact Bill if you are interested in that trip. Again, more information on the website or contact Bill. So with that, I will turn it back over to Kristen.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to turn myself down. Okay, so just before we get started, our presenter will be taking questions via Zoom chat for those of you that are joining us online and from our in-person audience. For those of you at home, you will find the chat feature in your Zoom app menu bar. Type your questions to me, the moderator, into the chat, and I will relay them to James at the end of his talk. Please remember that not, for those in the room, please remember that not everyone can hear questions in the room, and someone with a mic, either James or myself, will need to relay your questions to the virtual audience before the question is answered. So for those joining us virtually, if you hear a pause or if it feels like the audio went out, it didn't. We're just listening to the question, and we'll relay it to you shortly. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment. Peak has a wonderful land acknowledgement that I just want to read because that's what we're doing before our programs now, and I think it's great. Okay. As a community of nature lovers and educators, it's our responsibility to learn about the history of the land on which we live, work, and play. We'd like to take this time to acknowledge that Los Alamos Nature Center sits on unceded Indigenous land. This area was home to ancestral Pueblo populations, including peoples that spoke Tewa, Towa, and Keres languages. This area also holds ancestral significance through trade and migration to the Athabascan-speaking peoples, including the Dinete and the Apache. We acknowledge the Tanoan, Kirisan, and Athabascan-speaking peoples, their elders and future generations, and their past, present, and future ties to this land. We invite you to take the time to learn more about these communities and their histories through the list of resources on our website, peaknature.org, and by visiting All Pueblo Council of Governors at www.apcg.org. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Rod now, who will be introducing our speaker for this evening.
Okay, I'm unmuted, right? Yeah, good. Yeah, let's see. Each month I say this, but I'm serious this time. We need speakers. So contact me if you have a talk. You've seen the wide variety of topics that we've had presented here. So if you have something that you think could be interesting to this audience, please let me know. And also be thinking about a shorter talk that you might want to give at the potpourri talk in December. Am I doing anything wrong? Okay. So tonight we're going to hear one that has mountain involved, so that's good. We try to do as many of those as we can. James Wernicke lives here in Los Alamos now. He grew up in Albuquerque. He seems to be very happy to be here in Los Alamos, though, given all the outdoor recreation and adventure opportunities. He told me something that you might find interesting. He got into mountaineering through what you might call a video game. So if your kids are into video games instead of hiking or climbing mountains, don't despair. This game, he tells me, is very similar to Pokemon Go. If you're familiar with that, but involved him having to reach places like the top of Wheeler Peak and things like that. So he said it got him off his can and got him out in the outdoors, and he's really taken it even further. So that's great. So let's welcome James Wernicke.
Try one more time. Aha. Yeah. All right. Well, my name is James Wernicke, and I've proudly been video game free for I don't even know how long now. Too busy hiking. I'm hiking mountains, I guess. So yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. And today I'm going to be talking about a trip I took to Tanzania in January. It was to celebrate my dad's 70th birthday. He kind of just called me up out of the blue and asked if I wanted to hike Kilimanjaro. And, you know, what other answer can you give than yes? So this will be a talk about our hike up Kilimanjaro, as well as our safari across a whole bunch of wildlife preserves in Tanzania and a little bit of cultural information about Tanzania. So let's get started here. All right, so a little geography lesson here. This green country is where Tanzania is located. There's lots of different things to do here. It is on the coast. You can go to the beach here. You can see just so much different wildlife out there. It's like going to the zoo without a fence. You know, it's just amazing. If you ever get the opportunity to take your kids there, I can't recommend it enough. And then there's big mountains. So here's a zoomed in view of Tanzania. And let's see, does the cursor show up there on the screen? Maybe I can show. So this is Moshi. Kilimanjaro is right next to Moshi. So that's going to probably be where you fly into, is either Moshi or Arusha. And then over in this area is where all the wildlife preserves are that we went to. So like Lake Manyara and Gorongoro Crater, Serengeti. Serengeti crosses over into Kenya as well. And a lot of people like to come out over here to Zanzibar. That's a popular resort destination, scuba diving, stuff like that. And here's just a satellite view, give you a little more detail of the mountains and the forests and kind of what you're dealing with on the hike here. So down here, this is, I think, the airport, this pin, but you're going to kind of start here and you're going to, go through this green area, and then you're going to be up in the rocks. These other pins are some of the wildlife areas we visited. So Tarangire, Lake Manyara, Gorongoro Crater, and then over here is the Serengeti. All right, a little trivia here. So Tanzania is the birthplace of humankind in the Olduvai Gorge, or I should say our human predecessors. Anyone have a guess at how old those human predecessors were? I'll show you the answer here in a little bit, but just try and get a guess and we'll see. So the Maasai are one of the indigenous people there. That's what this picture is. So whenever you see, these like tall, skinny people with these almost look like tablecloths that they wear, that's the Maasai. The national language does anyone know the national language of, what's that? Yeah, awesome. But there's over 100 tribal languages. So in Swahili is some of the common words if you ever go there. Jambo, that's going to be like hello. Kwaheri, it's another way to say it. Pole pole, that's just take it slow, man. Just chill. You say that a lot on the mountain, especially at high altitude. Just pole pole. Hakuna Matata, no worries. Nzuri sana, very good. Over 50 million residents in a 365,000 square mile area. 68% literacy. They do put a lot of investment into education. 20 years ago, the country was, much more impoverished than it is now. And through things like literacy, gender equality, they're fighting the problems. Highest point in Africa is there in Tanzania. It's Uhuru Peak. Does anyone know how tall, what the altitude is of Uhuru Peak? Yeah, it's in the 19,341, I believe. 22 national parks covering 15% of their area. This is their major source of income is tourism, and they put a lot of emphasis on wildlife preservation. The Big Five game. Anyone know what the Big Five are? These are the Big Five that the hunters would always go after. Got lions, elephants. What was that? Rhino. Got two more. So the buffalo, maybe the buffalo is one of them. Yeah. So it's basically the aggressive animal. So things like giraffes and stuff, even though they're big, they don't count. Yeah. So tourism, farming, mining, timber, oil industries, that's kind of their economy. There you go. So the leopard was the other one, and the leopard is the most elusive of them all. So if you get out there and you get to see a leopard, consider yourself lucky. We saw the butt of one up in a tree. Just that was about all we got to see. Yeah. So I guess there's the answers. 1.8 million years ago. 19,341 feet. And yeah, there's your big game: lion, leopard, elephant, rhino, and buffalo. Yeah, hunters used to love to shoot them, and I can totally see why, because I really love shooting them with my camera. It's, the hunt is like the rhino and the leopard. Those are the hardest ones to find. And when we found the rhino, it was like 2 or 3 kilometers off in the distance. They just don't get close to people. All right, so we'll talk about Mount Kilimanjaro. So this is where this is from my hotel, the White House. And there's Kilimanjaro off to the left, and Mount Mawinzi, just one of the second highest peak on Kilimanjaro. This is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. We had this church right in front of our hotel, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, they're there singing their hearts out, and I'm waking up to it. I'm just like, what is this like crazy loud chorus? But they really get into it. Here is the routes for Kilimanjaro. The route we took was the Machame route. So it starts over here, and we did the 7-day version of it. So we stopped 1 night at Machame camp. We stopped 1 night at Shira camp, Barranco, Karanga, Barafu, and then we went up, and then we came down to Mweka camp, and then we headed out the 7th day. So it's about 40 miles. Starts at 6,000 feet, goes to 19,341. It's about 19,000 feet of elevation gain and 5 different habitat zones. So day 1, here's a few pictures to kind of give you an idea. So we're going through a montane forest ecosystem. So it's just lots of leaves, water, all sorts of different plants to check out. The trail is fairly maintained. This close to the road and everything. As you get further up, the trail becomes less and less maintained. Some waterfalls. Here was our camp that first night. So we did this with you have to hike Kilimanjaro with a guide. We had a crew of 10 people for the 3 of us. So yeah, it was 3 porters for each of us, plus 2 guides, and a poor soul that was our toilet carrier. But man, it was living the life of luxury. They basically would hike ahead of you, set up your tents, have dinner waiting for you, and all you do the whole time is hike with your day pack. It's very nice. So yeah, 7 miles, about 5 to 6 hours that first day, 3,950 feet of elevation gain. Second day, as you can see, it's only 3 miles, but it is much more rigorous. You can see in this middle picture kind of what a lot of the trail looked like was this steep rocky stuff here and down over here. There's these white-necked ravens up there. You get some good views when you're up on the rocks and get these clearings out in the distance. Here you can see Mount Meru, and if you ever hike there, you have to bring someone with an elephant gun. Yeah, so 3 miles, 4 to 5 hours, you get up onto this plateau at Shira Camp. And this is Shira Cave. So this is where the mountaineers used to camp. And I guess it just got too crowded. And so they moved out and they started camping, out and about. Had these like interesting plants, they kind of remind me of New Mexico. Sometimes it's foggy, sometimes it's clear. But yeah, this moorland habitat really made me feel like I was at home. Okay, so the next day, this is where we start to get some altitude. I think this is a typo here. It should have been 12,600 to 15,000 feet. So this was my first time going, I think Mount McKinley or not Mount McKinley. No, one in California, the big one in California. Whitney. There you go. Thank you. So Whitney was the highest altitude I ever been while still on land. And we got to eat pizza up here. I'm telling you, this is like living the life up here. So it was 10 miles or 10 kilometers, only 2,400 feet. So it was a pretty leisurely stroll. And most of the terrain is kind of looks like this, right? By this time, the only things you're seeing are these crazy looking yucca type plants. But yeah, you're basically walking through this, and this day is great, especially after that second day where it's steep and strenuous and everything. It's nice to do this. So you come up here, you have lunch, and this is Lava Tower. You're not allowed to climb on this, although it looks very appealing. So yeah, we had lunch at 15,000 feet, and then we went down. Oh, I know why this says 13,000, because that's where we camped. So we went up to 15,000 and then back down to 13,000. Yeah. All right. And then day 4. This is the day with the most exposure. This is when you go up Barranco Wall. So leaving Barranco Camp, this is Barranco Wall down here in the bottom left. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see this small, but you can see some people up here. Maybe if you have good eagle vision. But this is kind of from a first person view of what you're hiking on. And it's kind of hard to see here, but all the porters, they're just carrying these insane loads. So you can see this guy here, right? He's got his backpack on. He's not wearing technical gear. This guy's like in jeans and some raggedy sneakers. And he's got, his full load, plus he's got this giant duffel bag on his back. And this is like how all the porters are there. It's really hard to reconcile yourself that you're not like exploiting these people. And I just keep telling myself that the average salary here is $3 a day, and these guys are making $15 a day plus tip, which just sounds like insane exploitation to us, but it's the best job you can get in Tanzania. And they do this. They do this pretty much 6 days a week. They'll take us up. I guess we were 7 days, and then they'll go home. They'll have dinner with their family, and the very next day they're right back out there doing it again. So this was a pretty flat day other than Barranco Wall. It's considered alpine desert. The terrain is very similar to day 3, and pretty much every other day after this is similar habitat. Let's see. There we go. So here is a video. We'll see if it plays, and this can kind of give you an idea of the exposure on Barranca Wall. Also, so this is one of our guides behind my dad going up right now. The guy with the like blue and black backpack. They really treat you well. You know, they want you to have a great time. Every day they will, you know, do your pulse ox measurements. Always asking you if you need anything. They'll be happy to carry your bag. They just want to make sure you have a good experience. You know, it's just like the desire to please is just amazing with the Tanzanian people. All right, so yeah, so day 4, you know, get up Barranca Wall, and then it's a pretty chill day the rest of the day. That takes us on to day 5. So this is going to be our day that we get to base camp. So on day 6, we'll do our summit. Day 5 is a pretty leisurely stroll. It's only 2 miles. They want you to get to bed early because you're waking up at midnight to go hike the summit. Lots of these solar powered radio relay stations. So you know, anything happens, they can send helicopters up. They also have those like unicycle stretchers. I don't know if you've ever seen those on mountains sometimes. You know, you can pay them $20 and they will give you like the top-notch treatment, taking you down on one of those. You know, they will have 8 people around it, holding it over every little rock. You can see that, you know, every night this is kind of our feast. It's just, you know, they set up a full kitchen. They have a cook there. It is just great. This is that base camp. So this one's pretty packed because there's not like a whole lot of level ground up there, so everyone's kind of bunched together. I think it was around 150 people per day summiting, so you can kind of figure that you're going to travel with a bubble of around 150 people at each campsite, and that's the hikers as well as like all of the support crew. This is the camp. So this camp right here is like up on the ridge right here, and this is our trail getting up there. And in these clouds is the peak. So day 6, right? This is where you get the money shot. So we are waking up at midnight here and seeing some hikers ahead of us. And you are hiking in the dark. You can't really see. I mean, in this picture it was super low exposure, so I could see the ridge line, but when you're actually hiking it, you just see dark up there. So you have no idea how far you have to go, which might be a good thing. But it's cold. My thermometer bottoms out at -20 Celsius, and it was hitting the bottom. You can see I'm pretty bundled up here, and I thought I was prepared because I'm a big backcountry snowboarder and stuff, and I was still really cold. But you know, we made it, and once the sun starts coming up and you start seeing, you know, the curvature of the earth from up here, it's just, you know, there's few experiences that compare to that kind of view. Kind of reminded me of the beginning of the Lion King movie, right, where the sun comes up and is just spreading it. Like you can see the sun just shining over the land out there. And this is Mount Mwenzi out here. And yeah, that's us hiking. And so this is one of our porters. We had both guides and this one porter come with us. There is actually another camp up here. So if you want to pay a whole buttload of extra money, they will haul all your stuff up to about 18,000 feet in the crater, and you can camp at the crater. And this guy here, he's done that several times, and he's carrying like a giant thermos of tea for us. Yeah, I mean, I am just in awe of all of these porters and guides and everyone who do this. You know, how fit they are and accustomed to all of this. It's a lot of scree. In the dark, it kind of sucks. And coming down, it kind of sucks. But they will happily help you. You know, they will hold your hand all the way down if you want them to. So 3 miles up doesn't sound like a whole lot. 4,000 feet. And it took us, I think it took us 8 hours to do it. And, you know, in the dark, there was 1,000 times where I was ready to turn around. It is just so hard getting through the dark. But once that sun comes up, man, it's amazing. And here is my video of the sunrise hike. So part of this curvature is the wide angle of the GoPro, but I mean, there is some curvature there that you can see. It's just really cool. Oh yeah, and I forgot to bring heavy gloves, but they have like a bunch of like used outfit gear stuff. So I guess that's something else, is if you ever do this trip and you bring a bunch of gear that, you know, you're not going to use when you get home, or you're going to replace or something, like you should definitely consider just leaving it there, because they don't have Amazon 2-day shipping over there. And I am sure they will be very appreciative of any sort of USB battery packs, technical gear, anything like that. That is hard to come by out there. And you can see a bunch of the different glaciers out here. And that's the summit right there. So my dad lives in Florida. My brother lives in Maryland. Neither of them did any sort of altitude training for this, and they had no problem. I think my brother got one of those like masks that kind of restricts your airflow, but my dad's a huge road biker. So I think that's kind of what helped them. And you can also mountain bike up there if you're crazy. Yeah, so my guide is, where is my guide in this picture? No, I don't see him. Maybe he got cut out of this picture. But yeah, I was just amazed to find out that people mountain bike this. And then I found out that a guy, you know, like a week after I did this, set the world record for mountain biking up this. It's like 9 hours or something. Crazy. All right, so glaciers. So there are glaciers up there. You will probably hear Kilimanjaro glaciers mentioned as a bellwether for climate change, because they are very thin and they're going to be gone pretty soon. They're over 10,000 years old and predicted to be extinct by 2030. A lot of these are just, you know, there was somebody who put out an ice climbing video recently where they climbed them. And it's like their ice picks are like going through the other side of the glaciers. You know, they're just very thin walls left. So if you're going to want to go see the glaciers, you should go do this hike sooner than later. January is a really good time. That's when the weather is the most stable. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to kind of talk about the safari that we did the second week we were in Tanzania. And I did this talk, this whole thing for my kids' 6th grade class, and they just were in love with the safari. And I felt like a little kid when I was there, because all I've ever seen is the animals behind fences at the zoo. So seeing the animals without the fences is just a whole different experience. So Lake Manyara, that was our first stop. And these are some of the animals that you can see out there. Obviously, there's a big lake. You get baboons, water buffalo, elephants, some lazy lions. Lions are very lazy animals. You know, giraffes, all the good stuff is out there. Then after Lake Manyara, which is a pretty small area, we went to Serengeti, which is a very large area. Serengeti is the Maasai word for endless plain. And you know, these pictures, I mean, that's what it looks like, right? It's just this endless plain. And there's animals everywhere. You know, I kind of think of like the Valles Caldera when a herd of elk are out there. But you don't see that every time you go out to Valles Caldera. This place is just animals everywhere. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We have some wildebeest, we have ostriches, hippos, zebras. I forget the name of that cat right now. What's that? Yes. Some jackals, geckos. I was very entertained by this gecko because that geckos kind of do this like little dance when they walk. I guess it's to make them not look like prey or something. This was our vehicle. We had the rooftop tent. We got stuck in the mud while out looking at the lions. So, you know, we're sitting here digging, you know, you like dig a little bit and then you know, look over where the lions are on the rocks to make sure they're not coming towards you. This is a campground. We had a cook that just constantly cooked for us. It's just freaking amazing. Some more lazy lions. The secretary bird. These guys are pretty interesting. And we got to see a mother cheetah and her, I guess, adolescent children. I don't know if you can tell, it kind of looks like she's pregnant, but this was just because they just had a kill and they're just hanging out in a food coma, I guess. A female lion with her cubs or with cubs. So something interesting I learned is that the one female will kind of babysit all of the cubs of the pride. And I don't have any idea how they delegate that, if it's like a co-op babysitting share or how they do it. But sure enough, you know, the one mom is there with all the kids. Wart hogs. So another fun thing I learned is that wart hogs' necks are so thick that they can't reach down and eat grubs or whatever it is that they're eating on the ground. So they have to get down on their knees to be able to eat stuff there. You know, some wildebeest. I think there's actually a hatabeest with their calf, and that is, so this is Gorongoro Crater. So Serengeti, very spread out. Sometimes you got to drive around to see the animals. And Gorongoro Crater is very small, so the animals are very densely packed, and you have lots of different kinds of animals all together. So you could see, you know, lions walking around with wildebeest, walking around with wart hogs. It's really cool. This is the Uganda bird, the bird that's on the Uganda flag over here on the left. And this was our National Geographic moment here in the middle, where we had a water buffalo encounter with a lion. So you will see lots of water buffalo skeletons. So that is because water buffalo don't run away from lions, the males at least. And so you will see this. And a little known secret is that the water buffalo is the true king of the jungle, not the lion. This is a hyena down here just hanging out by the water. And here we go. Here's our National Geographic video. So it was, you know, this was the interesting thing of the day, right? Seeing what would happen here. And sure enough, the water buffalo drive the lions back. You could see this one, I mean, it's now out of the video, but there was one lion just kind of hiding over this ridge, it looked like, that they weren't bothering with. But yeah, we just watched this for a long time, waiting to see if something would happen. You also can't see in this video, there's like another 4 lions kind of just laying in the grasses out to the right. It's almost like the lion's playing with them. So Ngorongoro Crater is the only place with rhinos, and these were some of the rhinos we saw. They appear a lot closer than they were because I had a gigantic lens on them. But honestly, I would have never known those were rhinos, other than our amazing driver slash guide, who just, all I saw was a black speck out in the distance, and somehow he knew they were rhinos. And then you have the mama with her calf here, some flamingos. And then the last place we visited was Tarangire. So Tarangire, Ngire is the Swahili word for warthog. Tara is river. So this is the Warthog River. As I mentioned, we went in January when the weather, which was the dry season, which is a good time to see wildlife because there's not as many water sources. So you can go hang out at the one water source available, and then all the wildlife will come around there. So the river is really dry at this point. There are 3 different kinds of ferret species. These are the Pygmy Ferrets. And this little guy is called a dik-dik, and he is the smallest antelope. They're really tiny. He's like less than 2 feet tall. They pair up for life. So his mate was like kind of right behind him in the bushes. But they're pretty cute. And here's my leopard butt right here. All right, so that is the end of my slideshow. Were you ever able to get that 360 video or photo to work? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, if we can figure that out, I could like edit all this 360 video into like a good video, and then could do the whole thing like as a movie. Oh, nice. Cool. So yeah, that is my presentation. Any questions? Hey. Yeah. So the budget to do this adventure, the tour expedition itself, I want to say was around $1,500 to $2,000 for the 3 of us all together. That's for the 7 days on the mountain. So that doesn't include the airfare and like the hotels and the surrounding days. But that includes the food, the porters, the tip, everything. And they just do such an amazing job of, treating you like royalty. I will also say that Swahili is a very easy language to learn. There's the conjugation is like very similar to English. So yeah, you should learn some Swahili. It'll give you, kudos when you're there. Yeah. So the video game that got me into mountaineering was called Ingress, which was made by the same people that make Pokemon Go. It's a little more like PV, like competitive, I suppose. So there's like 2 factions, and you got to coordinate with people to set up links across long distances. The longer the distance, the more points you get. And in addition to like linking one place to another, which requires you to have gone to both places, or somebody has had to have gone to the destination and brought you a key for it. So in addition to doing the link, you also can't intersect existing links. So one time I had to wake up at 1 in the morning here to drive to Ruidoso to go to Ski Apache, to throw a link from Ski Apache to a World War II bunker in Alaska and the southern tip of the Big Island of Hawaii. So from here to Hawaii kind of like goes through San Diego, and from here to Alaska goes through like Salt Lake and Seattle. And there's lots of points of interest in those, populated areas. So there's lots of potential for links that will block it, like just even a tiny little link will block your thing. So you're coordinating with people in all those different time zones that have to just drive around, and it's like a huge waste of gas. It's like worse than Bitcoin when it comes to energy use. But yeah, it's Ingress. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Logistical questions. Yeah. So the question was about how long I spent in Serengeti. Serengeti was 3 days. Every other wildlife preserve was 1 day. I would definitely say Ngorongoro Crater. If you're only going to see one, go to Ngorongoro Crater, because you get all there. I guess they're like trapped in the crater. I don't know exactly what's up with that, but there's just so much wildlife and they're all mixed together. Serengeti is huge, and you can just drive around all day and not see anything interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. It's always like safer to hike early, right? So you beat the afternoon weather. And also it's really cool to see a sunrise. So a lot of people, we didn't make it to the summit for the sunrise. We were, I don't know, probably like, I think it was like an hour after sunrise that we got up there. But still, it's just amazing at that height to watch the sunrise. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the sunrise on a plane trip or something, but it's kind of similar to that. Yeah. No worries. So the question is kind of how to prepare for this hike. I thought this hike was, other than that last day, was not too hard. The last day is what's going to test you psychologically. If you are susceptible to altitude sickness, you can get medicine for that. Like I said, the guides will be doing pulse ox measurements, so they'll be measuring your blood oxygen levels and things like that. And they will do everything in their power to help you, succeed. You should also, if you are concerned, you should go for the longest hike you can. So we did the 7-day. The longer you take, the more chances of success you have. I think it's about half the people that attempt it make it to the top, and definitely your chances are dramatically increased the more days you are on the mountain. As far as training for me, it was kind of just my normal trail running around here. I didn't do any 14ers or like any like significantly high altitude preparation. It was just trail running here, going up like Mitchell Trail, and going up the ski area and stuff. And I'm pretty sure I had COVID while I was on that hike, because I just got super boogery. And then when we got off the mountain, then the first night in the hotel, my brother got boogery, and then he tested positive at the airport. So, and my my pulse was just crazy. Like it was like I was running like 150, like on that fourth day, I guess, where it was really flat. We weren't like exerting ourselves. For some reason, my watch kept saying my pulse was like 150 the whole time. And then I heard that somebody else got COVID on there too. So I guess if you get COVID on Kilimanjaro, you're just going to get COVID anywhere. Yeah. Oh, sorry. There you go. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So was there an article of clothing or object that you wish you had brought along?
My heavy like snowboarding gloves. I really wish I would have brought those. Like I said, they do have like an outfitter with a bunch of donated clothing. So if you forget something, I'm sure that, you know, whichever guide you go with will have some sort of outfitter that you can go through. And it's just like you rent it, you know, they will also do a shakedown on you. And so if you're missing any necessary stuff, like you didn't bring a heavy jacket or windbreaker pants or anything like that, they'll make sure you get it. And they're pretty strict, but I mean, they will aggressively suggest to you that you wear this stuff because, you know, they want you to have a good time so that you recommend them to the next people that come.
Cool. Just to add to that, they also asked, who was your tour operator?
Monkey Adventures. Yeah. The White House. We stayed in the White House. Yeah. Both before and after the hike. Yeah. Lava Rock. I think it's just a safety thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the previous question was asking about lava rock and why they don't allow you to climb it. And the answer was that it was a safety thing. The second question was about a project to build a cable car up Kilimanjaro. And I did hear about that from the guides. Interestingly, the Tanzanian people are very politically engaged with, you know, decisions that are going on in their country. So they will sit there and talk to you about these kind of things. But yeah, so they want to build, I think there have been proposals to build like one to the peak, but I think those have been shot down. The proposal right now, I believe, is up to Shira Camp. There's, you know, I mean, I think they object to it because it would hurt the guide economy, right? If you no longer had to hire a guide and you could just take this tram up, you know, and I mean, I guess it's like anywhere else where they modernize things and make it easier to access. You know, you have to balance, well, you know, on the one hand, you want more people to experience these things. You want to get, you know, outdoor environmental awareness out there to as many people as possible. But you have to balance that, you know, with the impact of increased use. So I don't know where that project, how it's been progressing. But yeah, that is a project that has been discussed. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what I did. Yeah, I flew from here to Atlanta and then bounced off Amsterdam and down, and it was great. It was a good flight, easy to do. I don't know if they're still doing COVID tests. At the time, you had to get yeah, I think we've kind of done away with having COVID tests coming in and out of the country, right? And then on their end, you had to do a nasal swab, both coming in and leaving. Oh, there we go. Yeah, sure. I will share the playlist of the Kilimanjaro videos, and I am now motivated to go and edit all my other footage and post a bunch of videos in that playlist. The camera. There it is. Oh yeah. So this is my Tanzanian special edition Kilimanjaro edition that has the routes on the back. Yeah. Pretty much by that time, I was exhausted, and I mean, going downhill sure is nice. Yeah, I mean, I guess after the summit, it's kind of just, you're kind of almost like zombified, right? Because you focus all your energy into getting up there. And then once you kind of accomplish the mission, you're just like, all right, time to just go into a haze, I guess. It did hail on us on the way down. That was actually the only time that we had inclement weather. And I think we got really lucky with that. Also, coming down, right? Like you go into more and more oxygen. So you always like kind of feel better as you go down. And the descent from the top to shoot back to base camp, that was kind of hard because you're going down like a sandy slope, which is good on the knees, but it's just loose sand coming down. But you have these guides that will happily hold your hand, and they'll run down. They're crazy. Another thing is that there is a cooking oil shortage in Tanzania. I think this is something that's a global problem, but in Tanzania, it will be hard to find butter and any sort of cooking oils. The only butter is peanut butter. But then they have lots of like fresh fruits, papayas, and I mean, you saw they made us freaking pizza at 15,000 feet. So there's a lot of food. Yeah, we'll go through it. Yeah. I don't think I ever felt afraid. I guess when my heart rate was really high, I was just a little nervous about that, but I didn't like feel like my heart rate was high. But yeah, that was kind of like, do I have COVID? Do I not have COVID? Am I going to die? I don't know. It's a little nerve wracking. The point that I felt the most defeated was definitely on the morning of the summit, and just being in the dark, not knowing how far I have to go, having like scree to scramble over in the dark. And a lot of times my dad's is the same thing. We walk like 30 feet and then have to stop and take a breath. Another interesting thing was I had to be very conscious about my breathing. If I just started kind of daydreaming like you often do when you're just hiking, and you're not like consciously taking deep breaths, there's like several times where I started to black out just because I forgot to keep doing controlled breathing. And my pulse was like 80 BPMs, and I'm blacking out. So yeah, remember to breathe. Pole pole, Hakuna Matata. Yeah. They do bring an oxygen tank. I should also mention the guy that was bringing the giant thermos had an oxygen tank in his backpack as well. Probably the acclimatization is the biggest thing. There is a route called the Coca-Cola Route. It is called that because it's supposed to be easy, but it's anything but, and it's a 1 day. And you drive up to 15,000 feet and you stay in a nice lodge, and then you have a 1 day hike to the top. So it's basically like where the base camp was. It's kind of like across this valley from the base camp. And it sounds easy because it's 1 day, but you have to be like up there all the time to be able to do that hike. So like I've said, the best thing you can do to increase your chances of success is go for the 7 day hike. Yeah. Yeah. So the question or comment was that was there a lot of trash on the mountain? And the lower half of the mountain is very clean. Once you get up to the upper half of the mountain, unfortunately, there's a lot of trash, a lot of human waste. Not so much like right next to the trail, but if you go, 50 feet off trail, go around a rock, it's just going to be disgusting. And then the higher you get, the worse it gets. They do have trail cleanup crews that, your use fees, the government, pays people to do this stuff, but they just don't go up to the upper half of the mountain, unfortunately. So yeah, there is a lot of trash. And then on that last day, when you're going up, there's just like batteries and the chemical heaters and just a lot of stuff like, and it's just mixed in with the scree and everything. So it's unfortunate. I don't know. Maybe we can organize a trip to Kilimanjaro to clean it up.
I think that's all the questions from Zoom. Are there any other questions in the room? We got one more, James, right here.
Okay, I'm gonna post the link to the videos. Question. Let's see.
Just make sure.
What was the question? Oh, sorry. Yes, please give me a softball here. Anything. Tanzania is an amazing place. One of the things that stuck with me was the fact that these people live on $3 a day, and they have 95% of the quality of life we have. Really, the only thing they're missing is the Amazon 2-day shipping. It amazes me that we struggle with wealth, financial equity in this country, and they're proving that you can live on $3 a day there. I think because of that adversity or whatever, the communities are very well, they're very supportive of each other, right? Families stick together, people work together, just constantly working together. Sometimes I feel like, we could definitely learn a lot from them. I hope that was positive. And they're fun people. They're beautiful people. They're just, they don't do handshakes. They do fist bumps all the time. And I've kind of picked up that habit. I really like the fist bump. I never have to worry about like messing up the handshake. It's really easy to do the fist bump. And I've stayed in touch with my guides, both on Kilimanjaro and my driver guide for the safari stuff through WhatsApp. Yeah, like definitely, even if you don't go hike Kilimanjaro, going to Tanzania and visiting is great. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Yeah. Yeah, so I can't think of like a comparison of the Maasai to like here. They're like these nomadic people that are just spread throughout, and they are the only people that are allowed to live on the wildlife preserves. And they have their straw huts. They don't really adopt technology, but they'll take rides on buses and stuff, but they won't have cell phones and modern technology. And they all wear the same sort of outfits. The colors might be different. I didn't see the jumping, but we passed lots of Maasai villages. So their other thing is they are known as cattle thieves, or at least they used to be. And cattle is gold to them. So when they want to impress a woman, they will show how many cows they have. And so you'll see lots of cows crossing the road, and there'll be this one Maasai guy herding them all up, or boy. They're nice people. Our cook, he was Maasai. I guess he was kind of one of the Maasai that wasn't like Orthodox Maasai or whatever, and kind of broke off into modern culture. The food that they cook out there is just amazing. It was like fresh baked bread every day, and they weren't using like modern cooking. He just had some charcoal oven type thing that he made, and fresh bread every morning. Just amazing. And he used like a Maasai blanket as his tablecloth too. So yeah. I didn't eat warthog. I did have some water buffalo. I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess like meat is probably a little more at a premium there, like especially if it's like beef or something. Even though they have all these cows, right? Like they want to keep them alive because I guess once they're dead, they're not worth anything. Yeah, so I didn't try any warthog. I guess I didn't try anything like crazy exotic out there. Yeah. Oil, yeah, any sort of like cooking oil stuff. Why? I guess they don't produce it locally, and whatever the supply chain is for cooking oils, they don't go down to Tanzania, I guess. At least not right now. Swahili, guys, you should learn it. It's a good language.
All right. So thank you so much for giving this excellent talk. It was very, very good.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone who joined us online and in the audience this evening. And I think at this point, we're just going to say good night all. Have a safe evening, and we'll see you next month.